Hello and welcome to a kooky corner of YouTube. Today is a day where I am going to have a play around with this postcard art. Here are a few that I've done already, and I thought you guys might like to see the process of how I go through these. There are quite a few different stages to it, and so they're quite nice and bright. You could do them in your own way. Obviously, this is my kind of style and how I like to work. But I thought you might like to see how these all get put together. The first thing you're going to need is a postcard, and you can buy many varieties of different ones. I'm just looking for my set of postcards, which are here. I think these are slightly different size. No, just a tiny bit wider, that's all. These are the Sea White postcards. You get 12 postcards in a set. It's 350 GSM watercolour paper, and it's handmade in the UK, which is always a good thing. The other one that I have used is the Cass Art watercolour postcards, which are just slightly narrower. I think, yeah, those must be Cass Art ones that I've done those. Just not slightly narrower piece of card. On the back you've got the usual postcard ending, so these are quite nice to send out to people, or you could just frame them, literally just stick them in a frame. So yeah, this is a Cass Art one. I think the Sea White ones were a little cheap when I bought them, but check them both out. You can find them in, if you just do a Google search, it will show you your nearest place to get them from, or if wherever you are in the world, any other postcard size. In fact, you could cut your own postcard size out of ordinary watercolour paper if that's what you have. So these are 148 by 100 millimeters, so it's 148 by 100, and that will be your postcard size or thereabouts, or do them any size you like, it's up to you. But for today I'm going to do this. I'm going to pop some music on, and there will be little snippets of me with my voice popping in to tell you what I'm doing. Or maybe even a little note on screen. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. But I thought it's easier if I try and get it all laid down. And because it takes time, I'm going to speed it up a little, which is why I'm not going to talk to you as I am now, sort of live, as it were. It will be done after I have finished, so that I can speed up the process and then add in the little snippets of knowledge as we go along. Okay, so let's get going. So with the beginning background process, I have used one of two methods. I'm just getting all the little bits off this. That's a bit of the glue from where it was stuck in the pack. There are two ways, well in fact there are many ways you can do this. The two ways that I have used are to give myself a background with Tombow pens. Flicking bits of mess everywhere. There we go. So Tombow pens is one way that you could get yourself a background down. You could do a watercolour background, you could do a gouache background, you could do these beauties, which are dye-based watercolours. I think I've shown you these in a previous video. These are the Kohinoor watercolours, which come in little circlets of joy. So yeah, either of those ways I've used this way and I've used this way. I lie to you, I've also done another way. I've done the Ecoline pens way, which is a similar thing to the Tombow. So whichever you have on hand is a good way to start. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to switch over to some soothing music and we'll start. So the first thing I do is to lay down a base background of Tombow pen. I'm literally colouring it onto the page with the brush end, bearing in mind which colours go together, because if you put the wrong colours next to each other, the next part may give you a little bit of mud rather than the vibrant colour that you want. So bearing in mind that you need to put the colours next to ones that will blend well with them. Now the magic thing about these pens and the Ecoline pens is if you add water to them, they will come alive like a watercolour, and you can then blend them together, which is why I said please be careful where you place them. I've kind of done a weird thing there with the green next to a red, which could cause me a problem, but because I'm being very careful about washing out my brush in between, I'm trying to control how that will blend together. So you'll see the blue and the rosy coloured pink blend together quite nicely to make a purple. The light green and the darker green on top blending really nicely. I just have to be aware of the fact that that rosy and the green will make some kind of a mud. So you just have to be aware of that. As long as you know that, it's all good. Now I am going in with some acrylic paints. Now these are the PBO acrylic paints. You can get them in bigger tubes. These are a set of small tubes that I'd had for an age, and they're still working nicely, and they were in a huge pack of I think about 30 different tubes. I have got some bigger ones of these, but because these are now getting a little bit old, I thought I might get some use out of them before they fully dry up, although they still work beautifully well after quite a few years. So they're the mix of the Studio Acrylic and their Studio Acrylic Diner, which is like an iridescent paint. You can see that going down now. It's got a nice sheen to it, a shine to it. So I'm mixing that in. Obviously my base layer has dried by this time, so you do leave the base to dry and then add in your acrylic circles. Place them wherever you'd like them to be. I have sort of scattered mine around, and I think I do about 5 of these. I don't like even numbers for some strange reason. My eye doesn't like it to be too symmetrical or even, so I will probably do about 5 of these in varying places, and this will be the basis of my flower. Here I'm squeezing out some of the paint onto my Teflon sheet, which I'm using as a palette, and drawing in, or painting in should I say, the stems of my flowers. These are whimsical flowers, they are not real flowers, and so my stems, as the name of these suggests, look like lollipops, which is why I call them the lollipop flowers. So painting those in, and I will be using the Teflon sheet as a kind of makeshift palette for the rest of the colours that I'm going to be using. Now I'm painting in some leaf shapes or stem for some leaf shapes to go onto. And again, I just wing it. I look and see where I've got some small gaps because this is quite a busy piece. So a couple of the ones at the side and then maybe a couple coming in from the top. I use the side of the brush, so pushing down just to get those quick leaf shapes in, and then varying the colour a little bit, adding some of the darker green in that I've mixed from the blue and another green that I had. Now in the middle of my circles, because they have dried, I am now painting in an alternate colour centre. Sometimes I'll add in 3 different colours, so varying sizes of circles to build up my lollipop centre. Also now adding in some of those top stems for the leaves with a Tombow pen, just to make it a little more of a delicate stem. Okay, now squeezing out a little more of this beautiful iridescent paint. It is well worth getting. It just adds something, and you know that me as a magpie, I love all these beautiful shiny elements I can put into my work. Obviously, if you don't do shiny, then you do you, and do it however you want with whichever kind of acrylic or acrylic gouache paints that you've got. If you like it to be a matte finish, you go ahead and do whatever you like. Again, I'm using the side of the brush pushed down in order to create the petals on the flowers. Adding in more of the centres now, and that kind of brings those circles to life. It will look quite busy, but that's what I like. I like a nice busy garden. And so I will be really going to town with all the different colours. Again, if you want to limit the amount of colours that you have in your piece, then by all means have a go, do it your way, do it however you like it. Me, I like all the colours of the rainbow, and so most of them get into my pieces. Here I'm just going around some of the leaf shapes with a soft pencil. It's the Staedtler Ergo soft pencils, which I find are really good for the price, and because they have a coating around the lead, they are very less prone to breakage, which is why they are really good for kids to take to school with them, and also me, a messy artist. This is just to define some of the leaf areas. I will also go around some of the petal shapes as well, not necessarily with pencil, but just to add in some details. And these work really nicely over gouache and acrylic pencil, so they show up really well, but they're not in your face, so they don't take over. And now comes one of my favourite parts. It's the embellishment with the gel pens. If you've seen my previous gel pen video that goes through all my selection of gel pens, then you'll know that I have a fair few to go at. I picked a few out of the ones that I wanted to use. I don't use them all. I kind of lay out ones I think I'm going to use, but then I make my mind up as I go along. Obviously, one of my mainstays is the white gel pen, and so I will use that to outline some of the leaves on or some of the petals, should I say, on flowers to make them stand out. The other good ones to use for this particular exercise part of this is to use some of the not the souffle pens, the moonlight pens, which are designated by a little moon on the side. These are the Sakura ones, Sakura moonlight ones, and they stand out really nicely as well. And also you've got some fluorescence in there that you can use too. But at the moment I'm going to town with my white gel pen here, adding in some details to my flowers. Also out of my gel pen collection, I like the dual hybrid pens, should I say, gel pens, which add a little bit of sparkle to my outlining. Especially if you use the darker ones, you can see the petals appearing in front of you now, and it's adding that detail in. You can go to town, you can add in as many things as you want. Just have a look at your piece and pick things accordingly and just add in little bits. I'm going to come in with some moonlight pens in a bit and add some detail into the centres of the flowers. But yeah, you use the mark making however you want it to be. Looking in my moonlight pens now for some things. These are, as I said, designated by the little moon on the side of the pen. And you can see how they show up so well because they're quite fluorescent on the paints, and they work really well over the acrylic paints as well. Back in with my gold pen now in order to draw in my absolutely essential star Always have a star in my pieces. Snarls and swirls, they are my go-tos. And this is almost finished now. Adding in another little star just to keep the other one company. Little signature on the bottom. And then we are finished. I really hope you have enjoyed watching how these are made. Here's a whole set of them together, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye for now.